you're starting to like scale up the organization. You're in a few different regions, and then Shark Tank comes calling. So tell us how that happened and just the story behind it.
Yeah, yeah. So that started happening last year. Like I said, it was not on our radar at all. And kind of on the down low, they have a team that reaches out, a casting team. We did not know that, but it's kind of people know that it happens, they just don't want it super publicized. But we kind of got an email that we thought was maybe it's like one of those emails where you're like, this is a spam, right? This is like, what is this? But it didn't hit spam account. We were like, let's check this guy out on LinkedIn, and it was a casting director from Shark Tank. And so we were like, we might as well have a call. And that started the whole process where it was like, wow, should we say yes to this? I mean, we've said yes to literally everything. We should at least just feel it out, see what happens. And did not know that a yes to bartending school and a yes to the spam email in our account would turn into us walking into the tank with the sharks. But it did, and it was a very quick process, a quick turnaround. And I remember having that conversation with you last year, Aram, when it was becoming official. And I had to say, hey, this secret thing is happening. I need you to know that we're pitching BarBees on Shark Tank. And this was not on our radar. This was not on the calendar for 2024, even just a month or a month and a half ago. So it was or 2023 is when we filmed, but it was such an encouraging process because we were not only able to feel the encouragement of them wanting us to be a part of that, but it also was an opportunity for us to comb through our business like never before. And luckily we had our finger on the pulse, in some ways as we built our operations team, but this took it to another level. And so we got to walk into the tank last year so confident in what we were presenting to the Sharks. And then we aired in January of this year. So it's been over a year that we've been in this whole process.
I mean, there's so much, there was so much that happened through that whole process. Yeah, it was the hardest Willow and I have ever worked in our lives. I mean, I think the show does a really, really good job at pretty accurately portraying like what goes down. So the sharks know nothing about you, nothing. What we heard kind of backstage was that their aides go out and like kind of tell them your name before you walk out just to make it better TV, so that they know they can call you out by name. So it's in case they miss your name when you walk in, it's like they're able to actually ask questions directed to you and whatnot. But other than that, other than maybe your name, they don't know anything about you. And so you walk in and you're not prepped with any questions. The only thing that we had prepared was our pitch. Other than that, we went in blind. It was like we had to watch episode after episode. We did some research, what are people do all kinds of statistical analyses on Shark Tank and figure out what questions are most asked and whatnot. And we had kind of panels of close mentors ask us questions, and especially like for our accountants and our lawyers and stuff like that, people who were close to the BarBees circle to kind of help us prep and whatnot. But beyond that, like there was no there we were walking in blind, and I think the show does a really, really good job at accurately portraying what happens. The thing that is different is that we were probably in there 30, 35, 40 minutes. We honestly have no idea. You kind of black out when you're in there. Um, and they air like 7 or 8 minutes of it. So yeah, like Willow said, it was like it required us to go through our business with a fine-tooth comb like never before. To be able to perform under that pressure, you've got to really, really work at getting your stuff together.
Yeah. So to the level that you can share and whatever you're comfortable with, what was the deal that was struck?
So our on-screen deal was with guest shark Danny Levetsky. And so we went in asking for 10% for 75,000, landed on 20% at 75,000. The deal, honestly, it's still in the works. It hasn't even closed, but we're still, connected to the team. And he was really, really wonderful. He and his team were really wonderful around airing with PR and everything. So it's one of those things where we're learning a lot of what it looks like to bring on an investor. To be honest, it wasn't on our radar to bring on an investor before Shark Tank. And even the the event itself was so shocking, then landing an on-screen deal was like, whoa, we had not even prepared for that to be an option. It's been a huge learning curve and a really cool one. So still in the works and still, getting to learn from him and figure out what it looks like to sell part of your company. And also being involved in the daily process of still running BarBees. So it's, you gotta be, offboarding some of those things because you can't be in the weeds when you're thinking so high level, like, selling a portion of your company.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because Willow and I went into the whole thing so open-minded because, to be honest, we were like, I mean, there's not, like I mentioned earlier, there's not a whole lot of services on the show. And so we went in really open-minded. We were like, I don't know how, like, I think we can, I know we can perform well on the show. Like we prepared a lot and we just, we love that kind of thing. So we went out there knowing, we'd represent our brand well, but remaining very open-minded about whether we were going to get a deal or not. It's not like we had put anything financially on the line. We hadn't gotten out second mortgages in reliance of getting a deal or something like that, which just, we went into it thinking if we get a deal, that would be, I'd be shocked. It'd be amazing. And it's just
what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And so us getting a deal, like, I think that helped take a little bit of the pressure off. Obviously, you're pitching your business, the baby that you've been working on since, for the last 5 years or whatever, on national television in front of Mr. Wonderful and Mark Cuban, billionaires and multi-hundred millionaires right in front, a couple feet away from you, is high pressure. But I think for us, it was like, when we were able to reframe it as like, this is really just fun. If we don't get a deal, we're going to be okay. And that really, really helped our attitudes and our spirits going into it. And I think it was just a couple minutes into the tank, we got really great energy from Daniel. Our panel was Mark Cuban, Damon, Mr. Wonderful, Lori, and Daniel Lebetsky. Like Willow said, the guest shark. And so we just a couple minutes into the tank, we knew Daniel was our shark. And when he made an offer, it was at first a little higher. Willow did an amazing job negotiating. Watch it, check out the episode. Willow went back and forth a couple times with him, trying to get it down.
I was like, we didn't practice this part much because you don't know what's gonna happen. So Jen and I are there whispering, and you can see like the shock in my eyes, and I'm like, this is happening. I'm negotiating with the billionaire right now. Okay, where is this gonna land?
We knew he was our shark, and we were willing to go a little higher on the equity side than we were comfortable with going into it, just because we felt like it was right.
Heck yeah. So what's changed since the airing of the show? What's changed in the business?
To be totally real with you, not as much as we had thought. Mm-hmm. And that's just like, we could sit here and, give a whole fluffy answer of things that sound really nice. But I think entrepreneurship is adapting to what comes and what doesn't come that you expected to come. And so you can have all these big mountaintop moments and expect all of these like high level outcomes and, oh, this will get us here, this will get us there. And sometimes it just doesn't. And so for us, luckily though, we had that mindset, I think, pretty much dialed in before airing. We knew as a service, we are not something that people can just buy online in 10 seconds, go, oh, I saw that on Shark Tank, oh, I'll buy a scrub daddy for $15, right? We are an event company. You've got to corral your people. You've got to choose a date. There's some buying time involved with booking a class with us. And so I think we had a really, really good level of expectation of the outcome of Shark Tank. We knew it was going to be a longer trickle effect rather than that one night we pop off and everything totally changes. So have we seen a difference? Yes. We have our following has grown. We are getting inquiries in more places than ever and trying to figure out what expansion actually looks like for us. But it wasn't that huge pop off that I think a lot of people expect or want immediately after such a big mountaintop moment. And that's okay. I think Jess and I are coming to terms with like, hey, that's okay. We did a really awesome thing. And the next big thing could be 6 months after Shark Tank, because somebody saw us and goes, hey, I saw you guys on Shark Tank. I've got this opportunity for you. So it's just being patient and not white knuckling the expectations of what can come from each big mountaintop moment.
I think the biggest difference has been kind of interpersonally with our team and with Willow and I. It's one of those things where we're like, oh, if we could do that, we could do anything. Because it was high pressure, it was a lot of work, and it's like, and then for the outcome to be so positive in the tank, like, I mean, not only had it just stopped at the hard work and combing through our business the way it did, Willow and I's confidence soared just in that process. But then to go into the tank and for Shark Tank, kind of the show and the institution, and then the sharks be so supportive and believe in us so much, and then of course landing a deal, that was pivotal for our confidence as entrepreneurs, because it's no longer like, are we fools here? Like, did we kind of have a fun business that, maybe hit a fluke stride or something? But no, it's like these America believes in you and the sharks believe in you. And that's really, really empowering. And then for us later to break the news to our team before we aired. And then that was really, really empowering for our team. And just to see them, be like, I was a part of building something really big. And I think their performance has soared, and like their confidence has soared. And we've got 30 people or 35 people on our team. So it's like that kind of is that's a big deal for 35 extra people running around to be, feel like they're a part of something bigger. And they really helped us get to this point. And so I think it was more of like the interpersonal boost that is just the biggest difference I've seen, and the biggest impact that it's made on me.
Heck yeah. So I want to hit on something like around like seizing a moment. Do you mind if I talk about 3 different kinds of meetings?
Yes. Yeah.
So the way I always look at meetings and like how tucked in and how prepared you have to be and how you speak is there's normal meetings, just like what we call like a conversational meeting. Then there's high value meetings, and then there's high stakes meetings. And the way that I talk about it is like a conversational meeting is when you're with people that you know. So like, let's say the two of you having a business meeting, it's conversational. You've normed to each other's style. There's nothing super high stakes on the line. You're just chatting, you're creating things, you're working it out. It's what I call chopping it up. You're just chopping it up. And so like if you're in the work world, you're going to have people who are super verbose, or people who are super direct, or people who have all sorts of different styles in between. And if you're in a conversational setting with them and you know them well, you norm to each other's style. So you can be productive, you can get through things. Doesn't mean you always love how everyone communicates, but you've normed to it. It's no big deal. But then there's high value meetings. High value meetings are meetings where you want to give great value, or you want to get great value from the other people, or you want to have like kind of an equal exchange of value. In a high value meeting, you're more tucked in. You're prepared with your facts, you understand the conversation, or you know what you want to get out of it. You're prepped. And it doesn't mean you're prepped to like ultra high degrees. It's just you're more tucked in how you present yourself physically, verbally, and your content, your ideas. High value meetings can be with people that you work with all the time. So both together, you two have probably been in high value meetings with your lawyers, or with accountants, or your mentors, even with each other, where you're talking about something in a more tucked in, kind of more specific, focused way. But also high value meetings can be with potential clients. It could be with cross-functional partners. It could be with people you don't know that well. High stakes meetings are definitionally different in my mind, in the sense that like there's something to win or something to lose as a direct result of this meeting. And it's like the highest level of preparation, the highest level of tucked in. Your physical presence is online, your verbal presence is online. So that Shark Tank, the way I look at it is like, and I'm sure you'd had high stakes meetings before, but that was like the ultimate high stakes because it's also on TV.
Oh yeah.
Nothing higher than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always joke that it's like the Olympics of entrepreneurship. I mean, it's just
right.
like, I always saw it as like, it's funny because I was in high school pitching businesses like to, for scholarship money or whatever, like just with businesses I had started. And it's like, I always saw it at like the real show, because I'd watched it in preparation for those, as like, that is like pinnacle entrepreneurship. And, it's like
right.
you grow up a little bit and you're like, for us now, it's like, okay, there's other metrics to success, but like for a lot, it's like the Olympics of entrepreneurship. It feels like very, very high stakes like that.
Well, and what I love what you said earlier, Jess, about like, oh, for me, I think it's like kind of brought the team together, and kind of like that we're like actually a part of this thing now, and like the way they interact. It makes sense to me because you prepped for a high stakes moment, and like it's like a win or lose thing. We're gonna go in there and either like get some kind of deal, or have some kind of good experience, or you actually could have, like, you know, there's like those famous Shark Tank things where people look bad and look totally silly. You went into like an ultimate high stakes meeting, and yeah, it's cool you got a deal, but really what it did was it like even helped solidify your brand more, your company culture more, your mission more. And that's like the idea of showing up ready to really engage with a high stakes moment with the highest degree of prep and understanding, while also recognizing we're going to have to pivot, move on the moment, like whisper with each other about stuff, like figure it out. Like that's really being in it. And I think what the two of you did there and what you've done since is like super inspirational about just like saying yes, but not being blind about it. Say yes, but prep and be ready and rise to the moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, Aram, I got to give another Cadence shout out, because it was, for the last 3-ish years since we launched open enrollment courses, right?
Yeah,
I have taught Own the Room, and Own the Room is based on all of your content. How do you present yourself? What does executive presence look like? And we found out we're going on Shark Tank, and it hits me that I'm like, oh my gosh, everything I've been teaching in these virtual sessions to people, I actually have to go and do that now on national television in front of the sharks. And I was like, praise God, I have this in my back pocket, because I really have to own the room this time.
And you
I'm telling
you
you,
totally did.
answering the damn question, all those sessions I've been teaching for years, I'm like, I have all of those things in the back of my head. And as Jess and I prepped, I'd bring up those, you know, all of those thoughts and all the, hey, we got to remember, let's keep it succinct. Let's cut out the fluff. You know, what does it look like to, you know, answer bridge content, all of these things that were so involved in our prep for this high stakes environment. I felt so much more confident having the background that I did based on your content and Cadence's content and the coaches that I've worked with at Cadence. I mean, it was pivotal to walking out of there and feeling so confident in the way that we and how well we did it. And I don't think I would, and I don't think we would have done as well had I not had that kind of background and training. So thank you for helping me own that room.
Oh, thank you. Again, we really appreciate that.